Hello and welcome to Talking Trades, the weekly podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Matt and I'm the stand-in for the DC fan.
And I'm John, I'm Marvel Nut.
And did you know Jason Todd has a habit of picking up a stray coin on the street? When Dick Grayson found out, he ended up buying Jason Todd a piggy bank.
That is wholesome, and I'm here for it.
It is very wholesome. And with this movie that we are talking about, the Under the Red Hood, wholesome moments are nice.
Yeah. But enough about wholesome.
I guess, spoiler alert for an 11-year-old movie coming up. I guess.
Until like last night, I hadn't seen it.
It's one of my, like I said.
Was anything spoiled? No. You already knew the big quote unquote twist. And even then, that wasn't really much of a twist. Well, it's like watching Captain America Winter Soldier. Like, it's not really a twist for the audience. It's a twist for, in this case, Batman.
Yeah, it's a twist for the characters.
And Alfred. He did not see that coming at all.
No,
my God.
Did not. Good thing Bruce Wayne is a bajillionaire, because that was a lot of broken china. But let's dive into it this week on our second episode of John and Matt talking trades from the couch.
Talking trades, goes to the movies and also their couches. We watched the 2010 animated film Batman Under the Red Hood, the story of Jason Todd and Batman and Neil Patrick Harris as Nightwing and Joker, and Ra's al Ghul's there for a little bit. So is Riddler,
who is actually, fun fact, I don't think he had any lines in the movie because I watched it today.
I pulled up IMDb though. It's Bruce Timm.
Yeah, it was played by Bruce Timm. Oh, love it.
A cameo of cameos.
Oh, absolutely. A cameo you're not going to get unless you actually pay attention to the credits, and especially the credits after like the top billed cast. Like, there's just the Riddler there with Bruce Timm, and I was like,
I guess at the end, the style the credits did was really cool. Like the rain.
Yes. Yeah, with the rain.
That was really cool. And it kind of blurred at the top. I don't know. It's not often that like you see credits and you're like, I'm impressed by that.
Yeah.
But that was nice.
These are aesthetically pleasing credits. But let's jump into it. The story of the supposed death of Jason Todd. Of course, we all know the story of why Jason Todd died. They had the DC had a poll.
The fans killed him.
Or does Jason die? The fans chose to kill him. And by such, they resurrected his character into something even better with Red Hood. He's such an interesting, very complex kind of character that fits perfectly in the Batman family, where he tiptoes on both sides of good and bad. He's fantastic. And he's totally not the Arkham Knight at all.
What do you mean? Arkham Knight was a new character created in collaboration with DC Comics.
Of course it was. It definitely didn't end up that the big reveal of the Arkham Knight ended up just being Jason Todd. And when he switched to being good, his Arkham Knight ears went off and his mask went red and he became the Red Hood. That would be dumb. But yeah, so the movie starts out. You see Ra's al Ghul standing, looking over wherever it is he lives. Lots of snow.
Probably fictional country of some kind.
Sure, probably. And we see Batman racing on his motorcycle through the snow, and we see the infamous scene of Joker and Jason, and Joker with the crowbar beating the hell out of Jason.
Can I just say, I did not much care for the voice work of one Joker in this film.
From John
DiMaggio. I did not much care for it. Have we been spoiled by a lot of good Jokers? Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it's one that takes a bit
Um,
And like he's an acclaimed voice actor. He does a ton of work that I love. I just didn't think he fits super well with the character here.
No, he doesn't. And for me, when I first saw this movie, it was very jarring to have a Joker with that kind of lower voice that kind of sometimes crept into sounding like Marcus Phoenix or Bender.
Or Waka.
Or Waka. He did have, I will say, outside of his actual voice work, he did have a good laugh. He did do a pretty good Joker laugh. And he did make the Joker. He's still, outside of like the voice, if you go through just like his performance, I guess, outside of that, he still did, a great job. Just the voice is very off-putting to what we're used to from the Joker with, your Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And your Joaquin Phoenixes and your Matts who voiced the Joker when we talked about
Killing Joke.
Yeah. Which is also thrown into this movie. But yes, Joker is beating the tar out of
I think with this one, like the Joker he went for is like I'm going to physically hurt you and that's funny to me.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. And I didn't personally care for it.
Sure. I get that. Like I said, the first time I watched it, it was very jarring for me. Going in now knowing that that was what I was expecting. I think that helped me enjoy the movie more because it was like, okay, this isn't going to catch me by surprise. I know that it's a different a different Joker in a sense.
And like, I'm not harping on this to like just to harp on it, but like I'm harping on it because I absolutely adored literally everything else about this. Like literally everything else about this movie was just 10 out of 10 perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, very jarring. And so we see him, he's beating the tar out of Jason. It's just kind of cutting to him, cutting to Ra's watching and realizing he's making a mistake. He made a mistake. We don't know what that mistake is just yet.
He does say he shouldn't have allied with a madman or something to that degree.
Something like that, yeah. And you realize Ra's is the one that took the clown out of the box. And Batman's racing and he gets so close to saving Jason, but after the beatdown, Jason tries to escape. Door's locked, and there's a bomb. And as soon as Batman gets there, the bomb goes off. And you see before the opening credit of the title is just Batman holding Jason in that kind of infamous pose of having him slouched across his arms as to this day in comics, Batman's greatest failure.
Yeah, we've seen that pose in everything from like religious iconography to this to Final Crisis to Dark Phoenix Saga. Like it's everywhere. It's a very, very signature pose.
Yep. And so after the titles, we cut 5 years into the future, and someone has called all the mob bosses in Gotham, specifically in a part of Gotham controlled by the Black Mask.
Sionis.
Yes. And they're sitting there and they all sit there and they're all getting there like, okay, who called this meeting? No, seriously, who called this meeting? And, I'm just going to go. Someone decides to shoot off a machine gun, an AK-47, and it's the Red Hood. He said, I've called you all here. You're going to be working for me now. I'm going to give you a better deal than the Black Mask.
But I swear if you sell drugs to kids, you're dead.
Yep.
I can respect it. I can absolutely respect it.
100% respect it. And to show that he's not playing around, he drops down a bag. What's in the bag but the severed heads of all of those gangs.
They're like lieutenants. They're top people.
Yeah, they're higher ranking. And so that kind of begins. We see a Red Hood who is unafraid to take a life in the means to pursue what he wants to do.
He took 4 this afternoon.
This afternoon in 2 hours. Imagine what he would do with the whole night. Which, Jason. Jensen Ackles of Supernatural fame does a fantastic job as Jason.
Excellent job.
and knowing that he then at points of his career has come back to do, he's voiced Batman even. He's great. He does such a good job as Jason.
As recently as this year's Long Halloween.
Yes. He's in Long Halloween, as well as I believe Troy Baker is in it as well, which whew, I mean, is it hot in here or is it just me?
Yeah, Troy Baker is the Joker.
Yes. And
Josh Duhamel is Harvey Dent. I can see it. I can see that working.
But then continuing, we finally get to see Batman doing Batman things. He's chasing down a truck. This truck clearly has some sort of goods that shouldn't be transported in Gotham. Spoiler alert, Batman stops the truck. I know. He's not wearing hockey pads, even in this one. And he stops the truck. The truck kind of gets into it skids out. It gets into an accident, and whatever this package is thrown, and they're on the Gotham docks.
Big old sciencey looking box.
Big old sciencey looking box, looking like something that could contain a stowaway in a space western show starring Nathan Fillion.
For example. I thought it was going to be some kind of super toxic bomb of some kind. That's just what I figured it would be.
Yeah, you figured it would be some sort of explosive. And it opens up and you see this just big son of a gun comes out. And you're thinking, okay, that's a big guy. And then they're like, what is that? And Batman says it's an Amazo.
I think it's a Amazo. I can't. Yeah, unfortunately, they have no lines, so they're not listed on the credits.
No, they're just there.
I think it's Amazo. I'll figure it out.
And what the Amazo is it is a cyborg. It is a biotic creature that is 100% a robot that can mimic and steal superhuman powers.
Amazo is correct.
And those superhuman powers, you think, oh, okay, well, it's a robot. How superhuman can it be? And then he does a Hulk smash right then and there. And that is when Batman jumps into action for a little bit, and my boy shows up, played by Neil Patrick Harris, shows up to help Batman take down the Amazo. We get a nice big fight scene, seeing the chemistry between Batman and Nightwing, and they just team up. They take it down using all their fun gadgets. Nightwing with some quips, as is tradition. They ask these three goons, all right, who hired you? And they're like, we did it all on our own. This is us. We did it. And they're like, no, who is this? And it's the Red Hood, but he'll find out. And Red Hood snipes him, snipes and kills all three of them. Batman goes in hot pursuit, but the Red Hood does get away. And then they realize that there is some new player in Gotham, a new villain working against Batman. And that's when they go into trying to figure out who this is, investigating. And they come up across, they look through just the annals of time of all the different people who have used the moniker of Red Hood, from starting with Jason, now all the way back to the original Red Hood with Joker in The Killing Joke. And they go, they have to pay a visit to Joker in Arkham. Much as they don't want to, they have to. And they pay a visit, and they get really nothing from Joker because he doesn't know who it is. He makes a quip about how, his Red Hood was classy and more of a maitre d' type and not a biker fetish like these new kids have.
I guess all they really get out of it is that it's not Joker, if they can trust Joker.
Yeah, it's not Joker. And then Joker tests Batman, bringing up Jason and him killing Jason. Batman does not kill him, but you could tell he tiptoes that line. especially with Joker. I mean, we've seen it in other iterations of Batman and Joker, even in, Dark Knight Returns, where he finally does it. He finally kills the Joker. And I feel like that's such a line that a lot of Batman writers, I feel like it's hard to write something like that where, Batman wants to do it. Bruce wants to kill this man so badly, but he doesn't, because then once he goes there, he's never coming back. He is no longer different than the people he's trying to stop. So they leave, and as they're leaving, they once again run into their intel picks up. This is where this is going down. This is where this Black Mask Sionis deal is going down. So Batman and Nightwing run that way. Who else picks up that broadcast? Jason. He runs that way as well. And as they meet, Jason is fighting off these guys while trying to, he ties them all up. He ties up all these goons and he steals the helicopter with all these weapons. A major weapons shipment came in for Roman Sionis and his gang. And Jason steals it, but not before Batman and Nightwing get to the scene. And Jason, instead of trying to escape with his stolen helicopter, Nightwing uses an EMP on it. And Jason's like, well, you know what? We don't need a helicopter. And he lets the helicopter just fall to the streets of Gotham, which buys him time to get a head start on Batman and Nightwing. And Batman and Nightwing, of course, pull off their best attempt at being Spider-Man and stop the helicopter before hitting the streets of Gotham and causing major damage, and then begin to go in a chase scene trying to catch the Red Hood. And that chase takes them all throughout Gotham, through the rooftops of Gotham. They actually jump on the famous blimp that we always see in the animated series, where they actually run across it, using it to springboard and stuff like that, until they get to Gotham Central Station. And that's when they have a bit of a showdown where Batman and Nightwing are still very unsure who this is. And Batman, in that chase scene, Batman tries to use his grappling hook to grab him, almost out of instinct, it seems. Red Hood cuts the line before it can get taut. And with that, you notice, one, he's had some expert training. Two, he has a very, very sharp knife, because not a lot can cut Batman's lines. And they have a fight a little bit, and a bomb is rigged to go off. It does. Nightwing gets injured in the process. And as Red Hood is beginning to escape, he says, I'm
spacing out the exact line.
Yeah, but it was something along the lines of, I see your work, or you're still like the same, or something like that. And he says something else, but the train passes by before they can pick it up. When that happens, Batman, of course, has top-of-the-line recording equipment on his
it's something person. Like you've still got it, or you haven't lost a step or something.
Yeah,
like
you haven't
something
lost
like
it, or you still got it. And so they're back at the hideout, right? Or at the Batcave. Nightwing's getting patched up, and Batman's like, Alfred, take Dick home. And Dick's like, no, I can stay. I can help. And he's like, you've already helped enough. And as Dick Grayson's leaving, he's like, oh my God, he kind of thanked me, which was silly and fun because it's Batman and he's dark and Batman-like. And so he uses his top-of-the-line recording gear that's in his suit, which I would love to have that kind of top-of-the-line recording gear. And he is able to expertly turn down the sound of the train, which, for me, that was the only part that kind of took me out of it, because I'm like, you can't do that with recording stuff. Otherwise, we would sound great 24/7, though I'm not a billionaire or anything like that. Whatever.
I'm just going to assume he can purchase much better equipment that we don't even have access to.
Yes,
just call
he has just, yeah.
He's got Fox on his payroll.
Equipment.
Like, it's fine.
Right.
He's got magic things.
Oh, he absolutely has magic things. And you hear then the full line that the Red Hood says, where he's like, you haven't lost a step. And the last word was Bruce. And that's when Bruce has a bit of a moment of panic. He's like, no, it can't be him. Who else would know who I am other than Alfred, Dick, and Jason? Like, no one else would know I'm Batman. And so Batman begins to follow the Red Hood. Now, not necessarily looking to stop him, to bring him to justice, but if it is Jason, he wants to help him. He wants to bring him home.
Is this where he goes to consult with Raish?
This is no. So
Okay.
Raish is after him and Jason fight a bunch of the Sionis guys, which there's at this point, Roman Sionis is furious. He's punching his own goons because that's how he relieves stress, is just by punching his lackeys.
I'm not going to say I condone it, but I get it. I understand it.
Get it. I
I've
understand.
had some rough days at work lately. Like, I get
it. And so he's like, I don't care what it takes. I want this Red Hood dead.
And this is largely because also, like, Red Hood just keeps ripping off his shipments, his guns, his supplies.
And taking and offering the gangs that are under him, offering them a better deal and causing them to shift sides and change,
including
change alliances.
protection from Batman, which is pretty good.
And so Red Hood has these establishments where they are protected by him, and Roman Sionis is like, okay, well, let's just hit him at these places. We need to get him out so that we can take him out as just a large group. And that's what they do. They attack. I think it's either a casino or or like a bar or something like that. And his goons take out everybody in there. Then you see they take out they're about to kill one of the high-ranking mob officials under Red Hood's payroll. But before they can do the kill shot, Red Hood stops that. That's the mob boss run away while he fights these just decked out black mask goons that just have this top of the line equipment. It reminded me a lot of like in Miles Morales, that one gang that I can't think of right now.
Spider-Man Miles Morales?
Yeah, you know the one in the gang, it was the gang that the Tinkerer led, whose name escapes me.
Yes. I can't remember the gang either, but yeah, all the cool looking technology.
Yeah, super top of the line gadgets and tech. And he starts fighting them, and they're like, wow, I thought this would be easier. And he's like, no, I'm not fighting you to beat you guys. I'm just stalling. And of course, when he says that, batarangs come out of nowhere, and it's Batman and it's Red Hood, and they team up to take down these 4 or 5 guys. Batman uses his, I'm guessing, little like rocket stickers that he puts on people's backs and just sends them into the atmosphere.
Those are cool.
They're
just little like they're tiny little discs, but they just have propulsion, and that's it.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
And it was really neat. He sends one guy way up sky high. He sends another guy through a wall. They're able to take down 2 of them. The last one tries to kill Jason. Jason's a little bit faster and does a taser right to the face, where he has like this like face gun like little point that shoots like lasers out of it. It's kind of like, for those who have seen Avatar, The Last Airbender, not the movie, but the show, like Combustion Man.
Mm.
And so that causes the dude's head to explode. And that's when you have this talk between Bruce and the Red Hood, and Bruce is trying to figure out, is this really him? Is this really Jason, or is this just somebody who's just putting on a facade? Before he can figure out through words, Red Hood leaves, and before Batman leaves, he noticed that Red Hood was cut by one of the swords of one of the enemies that they fought, and on it was some blood. And he takes that and gets it analyzed, and sure enough, it turns out to be a match. And that's when the expensive china hit the floor.
The Alfred just coming in, doing his job, bringing tea, is completely dumbfounded.
No tea today. The only tea we're talking about is the tea on how Jason survived an explosion. And Batman just loses his mind. He doesn't understand. How can Jason be alive? He was in an explosion.
We buried him.
They buried him, and Bruce digs him out of his grave and analyzes the body, and it's not a human body. It is all just very high-end plastics, plastics and things of that nature. And he starts just beating himself up. He's like, I should have known. We should have done the autopsy. We should have checked. We should have made sure that was actually him in the coffin. And, the entire time where he's having these I should moments is, Alfred's trying his best to say, sir, we were all completely distraught with the loss of Jason. It's not your fault. And of course, Bruce, being Bruce Wayne, internalizes his failures and blames it all on himself. He's like, this is my fault. Jason is out there somewhere. And that's when he goes to pay a visit to Ra's al Ghul, played by Jason Isaacs. If you don't know who Jason Isaacs is, watch
Lucius Malfoy.
That's probably his most popular role. But he's been in a bunch of other things. And when I saw his name on the opening crawl, I was like, yo, he could be a good Ra's al Ghul in just another Batman movie. If they ever wanted to bring him back in, Jason Isaacs he's very good at playing that kind of bad guy where it's not, I'm going to beat you until you can't feel anything in your legs. It's, I'm going to outsmart you, this, that, and the other. So like DC, if you want to bring Ra's back, Jason
he
Isaacs,
also
he's
voiced
up there.
Sinestro in Green Lantern Emerald Knights, which I have not seen.
I'm sure he does a great job in that.
I'm sure he does.
But Batman shows up. He starts taking out some of Ra's guards, and then he eventually gets to Ra's. Ra's calls it off, and he's like, I know why you're here. And Batman's like, okay, so what happened? Why is it that there's somebody running around Gotham with the same DNA as Jason, somebody who knows me, somebody who, as far as I can tell, is Jason? And Ra's explains his partnership with the Joker, with how he got so desperate to take out Batman that he allied with himself with the Joker, which he realized you cannot control the Joker. The Joker is going to do what the Joker wants.
The Joker's involvement was just supposed to be a diversion. He underestimated his own capability to kind of rein in the Joker. So this was well above and beyond what even Ra's anticipated. So I think kind of as a penance, he brought him back.
Yes. He felt like in order to make things right between Ra's and Bruce is that he tried to bring Jason back. And with that, he went to the morgue that they were keeping Jason's body in. He switched out the body with the prosthetic double of Jason.
And something about how it had to go through customs made it easy to do. I missed exactly what that was, but
they didn't really go too far into it. The important thing was that Ra's had Jason's body, and it was easy for him to come by, which, I mean, we've known League of Shadows is everywhere, so it's not really that hard to believe. That's just who it is. Like, he's the demon's head. If he's going to want something, he gets what he wants. And they take him to the Lazarus Pit, which is for those unfamiliar with the Lazarus Pit, it is what Ra's uses when he is aging, when he's dying, to revitalize him and give him essentially eternal youth as long as he keeps going in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
he doesn't come out quite right.
No. They put Jason in. Jason completely flatlined. At this point, Ra's has never been completely dead when he goes into the Lazarus Pit. He's always been alive, doing it willingly. And they put in Jason, who was completely dead, and he is just in this kind of state of just panic and just very primal, just fear of wanting to escape whatever place he's in and just break free. And this was still a young, probably teenage Jason Todd when this happened. So it wasn't him as a total adult at that point. He was getting to that point. So he was very young. He was very scared. And he broke through the defenses of Ra's al Ghul and escaped. And where Ra's al Ghul keeps the Lazarus Pit is on top of this like huge like mountain peak. And he jumps off. And as far as Ra's was concerned, Jason Todd died. There's no way you could survive a fall like that unless you're trained by the Batman. And so it all makes sense now that Jason is there. Jason is this. It's not 100% Jason. It is a more primal, more angry, more bloodthirsty Jason Todd. But Bruce believes in his heart that Jason, it's still Jason. It is still Robin. It is still his essentially his other surrogate son, whom he adored and loved. And so we cut back to Gotham, and Sionis has taken the Joker out of the box. He's broken him out of Arkham to try and get the Joker to do exactly what he wants done. The entire story is he wants Red Hood dead. Joker, he wants Joker to do it. And as we learn, if Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head, one of the strongest villains in Batman's rogues gallery, can't rein in the Joker, Roman Sionis is going to have a rough time. And that's exactly what happens. As we see the Joker standing atop of a semi-truck, and inside, tied up, is Black Mask, his assistants, all of the mob bosses that also work for him or Red Hood, and he starts pouring gasoline on them and is about to light the fuse. But lighters, right? Sometimes they're not full of fluid, so he has just a bit of an issue, and that gives Jason enough time to show up. And they have this back and forth where Jason's like, we meet again. And Joker was like, I don't think I've ever met you before, man. And they have this discussion. And then finally Joker pulls out another lighter, drops it into the truck to start the fire. But before that happens, here comes Batman on the Batplane to put out said fire. At that point, after he puts out the fire, he tries to grab the Joker. Jason grabs onto the Joker as well as they go out over Gotham Bay. He cuts the line on the rope that was used to take the Joker, and he says, hey, if you want him, meet me at Crime Alley. And so that's where Batman goes. To Crime Alley, the place where his parents died.
Where it all began.
Where it all began, not only for just him becoming Batman, but also for him finding Jason. And throughout this movie, we see flashbacks. We get flashbacks of when, of him and Jason. You get one where he's where Jason is still a young kid, a young Robin, and he's just this spunky, super talented kid who complements Batman and is filling the role of Dick that Dick Grayson had before him. And in this one, in Crime Alley, you see his flashback of when they first meet, where Batman first meets Jason Todd. Jason Todd is a boy on the streets, and he's stealing the wheels off of the Batmobile. And it's you just like imagine stealing first off the wheels of the Batmobile, figuring out how to take them off of the Batmobile, and then being caught by Batman, and Batman just being like impressed. Like, good job, Jason.
This whole movie uses flashback extremely well. Like, towards the beginning, we get a flashback of Ace Chemicals.
Yes,
with Joker with the red hood, which is what kind of leads him to think maybe it's Joker. We get various flashbacks involving Jason Todd, and one in which is like a double, right, where he goes from like a child to a young teenager. Like, that was pretty cool. And then before this scene, Alfred says something of like, well, you remember how he was when he found him. Batman's like, of course. And now we see when he found him.
Yeah. He was just a kid on the streets, and Batman felt like taking him in could give him a better life, which ultimately, up until when the Joker got him, did. And so Jason finally comes down into Crime Alley, and they have a fight. They both use their fantastic gadgets. But prior to that, when Batman's on the way, Jason takes out his anger against the Joker the same way the Joker did to him, where he, Jason has all these cool gadgets and all these guns and stuff, but he takes out a crowbar and starts just beating the Joker with it before Batman shows up. But in Crime Alley, those two have a fight. Batman eventually gets the upper hand, saying that he's not going to kill Jason. It's, he's fighting him because he's trying to save him. And Bruce is trying in his darndest to show Jason just how sorry he is that he wasn't able to stop the Joker from doing what he did, and to just, like I said earlier, Jason is his other surrogate son next to Dick, and he loves the kid. He adores him. He's his son, and he wants to bring him home. Jason says, this isn't, if that's what you think this is about, Bruce, it's not. I forgive you for not being able to save me. What I don't forgive is that you didn't go and kill this man.
Yeah, why is he alive?
Yeah, why is he alive? Why is the Joker still alive? He killed me. If our roles were reversed, I would hunt this man to the ends of the earth. And that's when Batman says, he's like, is it? And Jason asks, is it so hard to cross that line? And Batman goes, no, it's not like that. It's very easy to cross that line. But if I do that, if I go into that dark place, I know there's no coming back. And Jason then gives him an ultimatum as he throws the gun to...
Tough. Here's a gun. You have to kill Joker. You don't kill Joker, I'll kill Joker. You have to kill me to stop Joker from dying.
And Bruce, when he it's a very tense situation, he drops the gun and he turns away. And he said, you have to choose me or him. And in a way, he drops the gun. You think, oh, he's not going to kill Jason, because he's not going to kill Jason.
Right.
And in just one fast movement, he just throws a batarang right into Jason's barrel as Jason tries to pull the trigger on Bruce. The gun explodes in his hand.
I didn't have another way out of the situation, but that felt a little too Looney Tunes for me to swallow.
I get that.
The batarang perfectly wedges the barrel, so the bullet doesn't have enough force to get the batarang out of there. Like that, I don't know. Little too much for me, but it was a really cool scene.
Yeah. And Joker is laughing and saying, everybody gets what they want, except not really. The only person that gets what they want is me.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, it's amazing. You somehow found a way where everyone loses but me. Congratulations."
And that's when Jason starts off a bomb in the I guess apartment building that they're in, and the bomb is ticking down, and Batman is going to stop it. Joker tackles him. Batman overcomes the Joker, realizes he doesn't have enough time to stop the bomb. He can only grab one of them. He grabs Jason. He chooses Jason, and chooses to spare his life. And ultimately, that choice, that choice would have saved Jason's life because he was significantly closer to the bomb. But the Joker does survive the explosion, and is then wheeled off to Arkham. And what happens to Jason, we don't know. He is off on his own. And he starts, I guess Jason starts that character arc that I would love to read in a comic, to see him finally go towards being good again and realizing that, with Batman, with Dick, with Alfred, that is his home. That is where he belongs. And the movie ends where they're sitting in Alfred and Batman are sitting in the Batcave, and you see the Robin suit that Jason wore that Batman has immortalized, which we've seen in other renditions, including in
BVS.
Batman v Superman. Yeah, that was right there. Though the one in BVS has the spray paint and stuff on it from Joker, whereas this one is a nice, clean, fresh copy. And Bruce says, "No, I don't want to take it down. This doesn't change. What happened doesn't change how I feel about Jason. He will always love that boy, and he'll do everything he can to bring him back home." And then the movie ends with one more flashback, and it's Jason's first night as Robin. And they're, Bruce is like, "Oh, come on, let's go." And Alfred's like, he's probably just looking, he's probably just admiring it. Dick took a whole half hour just admiring himself in a mirror on his first night. And Jason drops out from nowhere, scaring Alfred. More expensive china is broken. More tea is not enjoyed. And he said, and he's like, "Oh, I got you, Bruce." And Bruce is like, "No, 3 minutes ago I saw you go behind there." And he's like, "No, I got you. All right, let's go." And it ends with young kid Jason standing on top of the Batmobile saying, "This is the best day of my life." And then it cuts to black and the credits roll. And the movie ends. And it's such a powerful movie. It shows a lot. Like, everybody who listens to this podcast or has ever met me know I am Dick Grayson trash until I am 6 feet under, and then I'll be Dick Grayson trash in whatever afterlife there is. But I still do love Jason Todd because he's such a stark contrast to what Dick Grayson is. Dick Grayson is pure 100% good, and he's doing everything he's doing because it's right. Jason is a very damaged, very hurt person who has had a completely different upbringing than Dick has, and it's just a nice contrast. Having Nightwing in this movie, I think, definitely helped with that, where you get to see the two Robins that Batman has had at that point, before Tim comes along and before Damian's born and stuff like that. But I love this movie. Most of the animated movies from DC are just ones that I completely adore. This one is like the first one that got me to, from my early my high school days of, oh, cartoons are dumb, to realizing, no, shut up. They're great if they're done properly. And I think this movie was one that was done properly, where you just have this cast of just rock stars. I mean, were there things in that movie? Would I have liked to seen the movie longer and have the big happy ending? Of course I would.
Because that's one thing too. The movie's like 75 minutes long. Like it's not long.
It is not a long one. It is, that's something you can knock out easy.
It's honestly, it's closer to like 3 episodes of a cartoon. Like
Absolutely.
it's about as long as 3 episodes of the animated series.
Yeah, give or take. But yeah, I loved it. I've been geeking over it all this entire episode. John, your thoughts? I know you said you didn't like John DiMaggio's Joker, which I completely
but that's
understand.
literally it. I adored everything else. All the flashbacks did such incredible character building. Because I know a lot of what happened, but presenting it here with the relevant context to everything was really, really great. Like, I don't think I've read any Jason Todd, like full stop, end of list. I don't think I've read anything with Jason Todd. But I'm a human. I can understand what this means to Batman, and seeing a typical, like it was very good, like emotional trip for Bruce. And he's usually portrayed as such a stoic, like deadpan character for the most part. We can point to tons of media in which that's not the case specifically, but if you're just going to picture Batman, emotionless with the cape.
Yeah. Cold,
doing detective things. Yeah.
Yep.
But no, I thought it was excellent. He also got to be a detective here, figuring out what happened. Is this Jason? Who else could this be? Fired in all cylinders. I felt Nightwing, I guess, if anything, was underutilized, but it wasn't his story.
Oh, yeah.
He was there for context.
Yes. Yeah. He was just there to give Neil Patrick Harris some money.
A paycheck.
Yeah. And I'm glad that he was there because aforementioned Nightwing garbage. Matt Spina. But yeah, I love
just him being there, it shows you the kind of partner that Jason would have been today.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Right. If he had grown up and spent his life with Bruce being Robin, being that next Robin before he eventually goes off and starts his own thing. And it's
and like you saw, and the fact that not the last, but like towards the end is where you see how Bruce and Jason met. You see how, taking him in, that was the best day of his life. And that did completely turn his life around.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing crime. I guess doing crime is the right term. Instead of doing crime, he's now fighting crime and preventing, like stopping crime. Like that's
right.
That's great. That's such a 180. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great one. I highly recommend it for anybody who hasn't seen it, who loves Batman, who wants to learn more about the story with Jason Todd. Or if you just like, fun Easter eggs, like there was that Killing Joke Easter egg flashback that we just kind of brushed over. But yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's not super long. It's very, very good. If you have HBO Max, it's on there.
Yes.
If you like DC animated, this one is up there among the best. I haven't seen like nearly, I'm sure, a quarter of them, but I've seen a bit. I may have seen 10-ish. This one's easily among the best.
Yeah, it's super good. DC, when they have their animated stuff on point, it's tough to beat. God, it's great.
It also, I'm sure, combines takes pieces from various arcs throughout years and years of Batman into one film, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, we have Arkham Knight, who decided to then take this with all of that, and then
really, like that's where I learned the twist was from the because I follow video games very, very closely. So when it came to the outrage and backlash from Arkham Knight, that's where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep. Jason Todd's Red Hood. Good stuff. Fun episode. Dark episode. Next week, we
finally,
are actually
at long last
going to the movies
and seeing Black Widow.
I'm excited. In a theater. I am so excited. I'm just excited for just the theater experience again. And just, it's going to be so much fun.
It's a good time. Popcorn's a little weird, but it's a good time. Last time I went was I think it was Indiana Jones. But the last like in theater movie I saw was Raya the Last Dragon, which excellent film. But in both cases, like when you got popcorn, they gave you a contained thing of butter. So they don't pour it on there, which I guess is just fewer chances for people to come in contact with more parts of the food. It's like so the self-serve butter thing, like that's shut off. Like you get a little cup of butter to pour yourself. So popcorn's a little weird, but other than that, it's great. It holds up. Theater experience.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, next week look for that. I'm sure this will be coming out fairly soon, as this is me on my first day of a 4-day weekend.
Ooh, fancy.
It's great. People at work are like, Matt, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to do nothing. Saturday, I'm going to go eat ribs, and that is it.
End of list.
End of list. Everything else is just a bonus. But that'll do it from us here at Talkin' Trades headquarters. So we'll see you next week for the long-awaited Black Widow film.
I'm just so excited to I'm not even necessarily... My excitement for the movie hasn't increased. I'm just excited to see a Marvel movie in theaters. Yeah, this could be like, I don't know, Wong pays the taxes. Like, I don't care. Like, I just... Howard the Duck needs new shoes. I don't care. Like, I'm just excited to see a Marvel movie in theaters again.
Yeah, I think the last one I saw was Spider-Man, and that came out.
And that was the last one, was Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, and that was about a year ago. That was a July release.
Yeah, was it a year ago? I thought it was 2 years ago. I thought it came out in 2019.
I'm sorry, 2 years ago. You're right. It's time, circles, flat, whole thing. Yeah, it was 2 years ago because it was a July release.
All right, but we'll see you next week. Be cool. Be safe. Bye.
Bye. You can follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.